Okay, in this video we're going to talk about mouths and facial anatomy. First, let's get into drawing the mouth and the lips. Now we know, here's an example here, we know that, another example, we know that the mouth is first a planar idea, the lips. So over to my drawing here. We can do this kind of thing. And then over in this one, we can also do this kind of idea. So what happens is we first take the mouth and think of it in terms of planes. Top plane, actually this whole area, bottom plane of the top lip, top plane of the bottom lip. This is the supporting planes that wrap around the mouth. Now we know this concept, and we also know that this can be simplified even more, or not simplified, excuse me. We can subdivide it even more into three planes, top lip, three planes, bottom lip, and it also works on our model as well. As you can see here also in this example. And it's pretty clear on the top lip, like here in this example. See this clear direction change, we know that that is the beginning of the front plane of the top lip. And here, see that corner of the light here, corner of the coarse shadow here, that shows us the top plane, the bottom. So that's how you observe that. And then we can take our planar idea and refine it even more by subdividing the center plane of the mouth, of the upper lip. This is probably as refined an idea as we can get. And there's one more level we can take it. Come on. One more level we can take it, and that's this level. That's this level right here. What we want to do is, this is going to be this week's topic, is relate the lips to the face. Meaning, first let's relate the lips of the bottom lip to the surrounding planes and anatomy, and we'll touch on that as well. And if you notice here on this subject, the lip has a very evident split. So that's one thing too I would like to see is variation in character types. I know we had discussed character types So choose multiple character types. Choose a female like this, a male with thinner lips, or then African male, or African female, thicker lips, European, Anglo-Saxon lips. So choose different character types. Now for the final step of refinement, like we said here, going back to the lips, is to transition the lip to the corner of the mouth. But we don't do it, we're going to do it in a way that wraps. Here's some bit of anatomy here. It's actually a junction of the orbicularis oris muscle right here. So this is a connection of tendon here, and then it's going to bulge up with some fat in the corner of the mouth to create this kind of like donut. That's what Sergio Sanchez calls it, the little corner of the mouth. He calls it like a little donut. It's like a pinto bean a little bit. But you don't see this part, obviously. This part is skin and fold. And then, so that's pretty much it. I don't want to go into lips too much. It's a very simple concept. They're very simple to construct. And quite often, the detail is so tiny. It's so tiny, you won't even need to reach this level of detail. As long as you can indicate top plane, front plane, and then divide it accurately using the 3 planes, and then refine the top lip, really you're good. And then the next step is the wrap, and I'll talk about that now. So what I mean by the wrap is that, I'm not going to use this as an example here. Okay. What I mean by the wrap, and this is what I want to see in the homework, is we know we know that the mouth barrels, right? It goes this way. We know this. It also barrels this way. Basically, the mouth wraps this way and wraps this way. So we know this. We know this to be true. What we want to do when we go to draw our lips, and I'm going to draw lips on this example here. What we want to do when we go to draw our lips is make sure that we not only think in terms of planes, flat, right, geometric plane, which is good, which is what we want. Nothing wrong. This is where we start with the planar idea. But then we want to take our idea, refine it by not only refining the shape of the plane, refining the shape of the planes to match the character of the subject's lips, but we want to wrap the corner of the mouth. Wrap the corner of the mouth. This one will wrap back this way. This one, the off one, the one receding, will wrap this way. Now often it'll, in a 3/4 like this, the see how the lip compresses in perspective as it gets foreshortened. Same with the bottom plane. So that's something, it's super subtle and super refined, but that's what we want to see in the 5-minute studies. So basically, for the homework, we're going to do some 5-minute studies, 5-minute head sketches, and then we're going to refine our lips to add the wrap around the barrel of the mouth. That's really what's happening here. Your teeth look like this. You know, that's why we're going to be doing some skull studies as well. Teeth look like that. They actually, you know, they actually jut out quite a bit. They pop out like this. So, you know, naturally your lips are going to follow the curve of the bone underneath. The bone drives the shape, right? Bone drives the structure. So that's what we want to do this week, is to refine the wrap, refine the shape of the lip, especially the top lip, and then refine the wrap. So let me go through a couple of examples. Okay, here's one. Let's just go this real quick. I'm just going to do a mouth study. Just a little mouth study. If you want to do some studies as well, that's good too. But all I'm asking this week is you can do the full head, but then add and see that little bit of donut working here. A little bit of donut working here. That little corner of the mouth, little donut kind of idea. So that's what we want there. Now, when I want to wrap, or give the illusion that it's wrapping in space, I'm just going to compress this area. And by compress, I mean, you know, make it relatively smaller so it appears to go back into space. Shrink it down, and same with this side. That's just one way, you know, to do it. There's many ways to handle perspective or organic shapes. This is just kind of like a free-form shape design, gestural kind of way. And the septum here, septum here. So yeah, I want you to start also this week to, you know, to choose more character types, females, basically any type that's non-idealized. And it's nothing wrong with the idealized male, the Loomis male, the Leyendecker male, but you know, let's start doing some females and different ethnic types for this week's of head and lip studies. Here's a good example of how I can use wrap. Because back to the, you know, the lips aren't flat like that. No, they're not flat. They actually curve back this way. They actually curve that way, and they curve that way. We know this to be true. So we want to refine ourselves past the stage of drawing flat lip planes, flat lip construction. We want to evolve past that. And this picture is cool because the barrel, what the heck? the barrel of the mouth is so obvious. The barrel of the mouth is so obvious. It's really cool. The muzzle structure. So back to the drawing. Let's. So we know it's a planar idea at first, but now we know it's not flat, and we know that our planar idea needs to be refined from 2 to 6 planes. We can add some more. You know, we could subdivide. We got a new video card, so we can subdivide some polys. That's how I like to think about it. That's a 3D modeling reference. And then now we know that, well, first we want to match the character type. Let's match the character type. Look at the big sweep. Just like the nose has a gesture, the head has a gesture, the body has a gesture, the shape of the lips have their own gesture. See, his lips have this kind of gesture, so pay attention to that. This one has this kind of gesture. So we're going to refine our drawing to match the gesture of things. And then we're going to transition to the corner of the mouth. But we're going to do it in a way that gives the illusion of the forms wrapping. So one way we can do that, I'm going to zoom in, is to... I'm going to zoom in here. One way we can do that is take this idea, the front plane of the top lip, and exaggerate the overlap of the side plane of the top lip, and then bend. See, imagine that, see, this is the point where the lips meet the face, they go here, but you know, there's actually this kind of curve happening in this drawing, or it's actually closer to this kind of curve happening. So we want to exaggerate that curve. And one way we can do that is to compress this wing compared to this wing. This wing's going to be longer and it's going to taper back. So you want to pull it back this way. The bottom lip will naturally follow. I'm going to flesh out the chin a little bit here. I'm getting kind of lost. You know, it's hard to do a study sometimes because, you know, it's really about the whole. None of these things work in isolation. You know, the mouth appears to work in isolation, but really the chin is heavily involved. The bottom jaw, your masseter muscle, heavily involved in the shape of the mouth, shape of the lips. So we're definitely going to touch on that. And as you can see here, I didn't even show the wing, the donut insertion that we talked about a little earlier. I didn't even show that because I put it behind this structure. So I'm not going to show it. I'm going to hint at it by adding a little bump. And you can see on the reference it's there, that little bump that shows, okay, this thing does stick out. And then we take it to this idea here. So that's how we handle that. Okay. Then let me do an African type here. Real simple. We know that it's also an up view. We know it starts with this idea, becomes this idea, then it becomes this idea. Now this model's top lip has a very smooth the center plane, front plane of the top lip, it's like that. Has a very smooth transition from side plane to front plane, back to side plane. Very smooth, almost perfectly curved transition. So be aware for that, and take advantage of that. That's her character type. That's the subject's character type. Take advantage of that. And then we want to show wrap. We're going to raise, in this case, an up view. We're going to raise the bottom lip, and we're going to force the bottom lip to do the work. Basically, see how it feels a little straight? We can exaggerate the idea of the wrap by taking it straight and making it a curve. A curve, has to follow the contour of the position. So we're beneath it. Our eye level is beneath it. So the curve is going to go up. It's going to curve up. And then take this idea and the lips are pretty stationary. Okay. So we want 5-minute studies, but we want to focus on refining the top lip shape and making the lips wrap around the mouth, the barrel of the mouth. So the second part is we're going to get into some 10-minute studies and add some tone. So I'm going to attempt to do a demonstration here of what a 10-minute drawing should look like. I'll probably go way over time. That's okay. So besides your 5-minute studies focusing on lips, we're going to do 10-minute studies, 10 to 15, something like that. Don't spend more than 15. But basically, enough time for you to start addressing the tone. Light and shade, that's what we want to get to. I want to see where the lighting and shading is at. See the understanding of lighting and shading, then we can just take it from there. I think because it's so much more interesting when you have lighting and shading, it looks cooler. There's more clarity. And most of the time, if done right. And you can really, start to show volume. That's what we want. We want to see some more volume. Not just these flat, cartoony, or flat little studies. We want to see some volume. And you can do these from life would be ideal, but also reference is fine. Excuse me. Reference is good. From life would be ideal. So this whole thing has to be raised, I believe, or the nose has to be lowered. Let's try that. Whole thing does have to be raised though. Yeah, it does. It does. I'm beginning the shading process a little too early here. Little jumping ahead of myself a little bit. Okay, so there's my line drawing, my construction drawing, my little block in, you know. So now, I'm not sure how long that was. Now I'm going to take my, add some nice tone. And you know, for this first, actually, no, let's do it this way. First, we need to separate what's light and shade. So I'm just going to literally draw the shadow pattern as I see it. I'm even going to include that. Include these cool shapes of the mouth. Cast shadow. Lips casting a shadow. I'm going to include that. And some of the head and neck too. Remember, we don't ever want to exclude the head and neck connection. Okay, so now I pretty much drew out the shape of the shadow pattern, describing the shape best way I can. Now I'm going to just block it in. So I'm doing this on the computer. It's actually, I feel, more difficult on the computer. So definitely, I personally would like ballpoint pen. It's my favorite. Charcoal pencil, my second favorite. I really enjoy ballpoint pen. And you can do these in pencil too, you know, whatever you're comfortable with. Now that we add some tone, separate light and shade, let's go ahead and transition into halftone. Well, first, yeah, if you're doing, yeah, let's do that. So if you're doing pencil, what would be next? would be to transition to the halftone. And this is how that's going to look. I'm basically going to do a flat wash. In about a real light value, like a 75%. And I'm keeping in mind, I'm going to group all that's in light in halftone. And then I'll pick out what will be highlight in pick out what's in highlight in a using my eraser. So that's how we're going to approach that. And here's how that's going to look. See this bottom one. Could use some more light. I think I'm going to group that. So in terms of highlight, so now we blocked in what we call halftone. It's a tone halfway between shadow and light, white and black, halftone. So any area where there's going to be highlight, here it's like here, 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 here. I'm going to group, and also the ear, I'm going to group that with what we call light. So this is halftone. I'm going to group it in light, and to do that, just either probably going to want to erase out. So that's all you can do. It's like that, erase out. You know, I just take my kneaded eraser and just erase it out, erase it out. But you also want to be aware of planes. See, I'm not just trying to copy the light and shadow pattern I see. I'm using that as a reference to get my planar explanation. That's really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to explain some planes to the viewer. I'm trying to sell the idea that these are organic planes. And then, if you have time, then you can come in with your fourth value. Right now we have 3. Shadow, halftone, light. So I'm going to so that's dark accent, that's shadow, halftone, and then light. You know, light can be the white of the paper. Now we're ready. We got shadow, we got halftone, we got light. Now we're ready for dark accents. Stuff like that, stuff like that. So if you have more time, then you can come in with your fourth value, your dark accent. You know, just like indicate the nostril right there, piece of cake, side of the mouth. And then over here you can see there's a real darkening. That's pretty much it for the 10-minute study of this pose. 10-minute with the tone. So that's what we want to move into this week, is do some 5s, focusing on mouths and lips character types, and then do a 10. Do some 10s. See here, blending is so weird in the computer. Here I would just take my finger. You know, just take my finger and smudge it. Give me a nice blend there. Okay, let's keep it at 4 values at the most. Ideally 3. You probably could get away with just 3. That's what I would attempt to do. Okay, so that's part 2 for the homework. Now part 3, this is the fun part. Part 3, we're going to first draw the skull, like I have here, front view of a skull, and then we're going to, on another sheet of paper, or on, you take another sheet of paper, or you can take tracing paper, lay it on your drawing, on your skull drawing, and then add the muscles. Add the muscles of the mouth. So we're going to start with the muscles of the mouth. Here I'm going to do them really rough. And I have handouts that'll be available on the website, on the blog. So first let's start with the simplified major structures. So your lips would fit in here. I'm going to drop the transparency of my skull. So you can do this with tracing paper, with marker paper, bond paper, or excuse me, layout paper. They're all very transparent. Or if you have whatchamadilia, light table, then you can just use whatever paper you want, shine a light through it. Because what we want to do is learn how these muscles work together. So it's going to be a very detailed anatomical study. And like I said, I have handouts available as well. It'd be very, very easy. Once you see the handout, you'll be very clear as to what muscle goes where. This is the zygomaticus. These are muscles that raise your mouth, corners of the mouth. Right here, they attach the chin. And, you know, take your drawing, add some tone to your skull too. You don't have to take it to nearly as polished as this. This is probably a little too far with the pretty background. But just give it enough tone so you know, like, oh, there's a light source in here. You know where the light source is. Because you want to see the skull structure, so we need a little bit of tone and shade to do that. And that's pretty much it. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. Obviously, I don't have time. And this is your, what you call your masseter, your chewing muscle. And please pay more attention to how they overlap and interact. Not their names, or you got to know where, you know, try to find out where they insert as well. Don't worry so much about names and things like that. Study the muscle first, and the name will come. The name will come. There's a mentalis also right here, I believe. Quite sure how that works. I'm looking at the handout right now, and I know some of these muscles are incomplete in the handout, or they're behind other things. Yeah, there you go. You may have to look at the chin muscle. It's called the mentalis. Find out how that works. Because once you do this once or twice, ideally sculpture would be ideal, then you'll be able to you know, once you have it memorized, you'll be at a really good place. And then I want you to take either colored pencil or something, some kind of drawing, pastel, whatever you're comfortable with, or even ink, and just draw in the like this. It doesn't have to be super detailed, but you want to be able to separate muscle from bone, and muscle from tendon. So that's pretty important too. You gotta know where the tendons are and things like that. So that's pretty cool. So that's gonna be the goal for this week, is to first draw the skull, the base skull. Take it almost to this finish. Add some tone. Really get into it and figure out, because like these points here, that's not by accident. These are points where tendon and muscle will insert. So you want to pay attention to those areas. And then once you have your skull drawn, then do the muscles of the mouth, so that we become familiar with the mouth. And don't just please pay attention to how they interact with the skull underneath. How they interact with the skull. It's like mine's not even right, actually. Mine needs to be a little more accurate. How they interact with the skull, how they interact with the teeth. Insertions, depressions like this. Very important. Study the depressions. Okay, so that's going to be the assignment for this week. And also look for the handouts as part of the training materials on the blog. So just to review, first do about five 5-minute studies a day. So that will be 25 5-minute studies, focusing on the lips and getting it to wrap. Choosing different character types as well. Getting it to wrap, choosing character types. Then do, let's say do 10-minute studies with light and shade, adding tone, no more than 4 values. 3 is ideal. And then let's do a skull. Start with the front view of a skull and lay over using tracing paper or digital or light table, but do a layover of the muscle anatomy of the mouth. That's it for this week's training, and good luck with the homework. Until next time.